The launch of the SpaceX Starship prototype, codenamed SN8, is considered a historic event, despite the fact that the whole world watched as the rocket went up in flames and made a beautiful inferno upon landing. What is so special about the SN8 launch from Boca Chica, and why is it called a success despite the failure? Welcome, dear viewers! Today we will examine how the Starship SN8 has made history before our very eyes. While we bring you the facts, remember to click on the subscribe button to watch more such amazing videos on futuristic tech. On the 9th of December 2020, SpaceX launched the most important prototype so far of their revolutionary Starship reusable rocket design. This particular prototype, which is codenamed SN8, which is the most important prototype precisely for the fact that it was the first Starship prototype to be scheduled to complete all of Starship's flight mechanism tests. It performed those tests successfully, even managing to properly descend towards the ground in a flat position, which was attempted by no other rocket ever before. In the end, though, the rocket crashed into a raging fireball of heat and twisted metal. The ground was showered with bits of steel and metal, but SpaceX CEO reacted with joy instead of despair, calling it a success. Starship is the name given to SpaceX's massive steel rocket design. This design is an early working iteration of the technology that SpaceX CEO Elon Musk hopes will take humans to Mars. In development since 2012, the latest prototype of Starship took its scheduled test flight on the 9th of December 2020. To give you an idea of this test flight's importance, we must examine how the Starship design functions and what plans SpaceX has for it. From the very beginning, Starship was intended to be unlike any other rocket ever designed before. By design, Starship is reusable, and the final version is expected to be tough enough to handle hundreds of flights. Rocket reusability has been a long-sought dream of many rocket scientists since the first ever space race due to the immense cost-saving potentials it can bring. SpaceX would prove to be the only ones capable of pooling the right combination of funding capital and innovative spirit to even get a working prototype of a reusable rocket. Reusability would be made possible by how the rocket would conduct re-entry through the Earth's atmosphere after being launched into space. The mechanism involves the rocket intentionally putting itself into an aerodynamic stall by reorienting itself completely horizontally as it freefalls. Designed for any other rocket or aircraft is geared towards actively preventing this from happening, since an aerodynamic stall is as unpredictable as a free-falling leaf. Anything can happen. To prevent disasters in an inherently dangerous situation, the rocket has 4 stabilizing flaps that can constantly make corrections to prevent a fully uncontrollable spin. At the end of descent, the rocket will coordinate with ground assets to flip back up vertically and land safely. Thus, it is a rocket design unlike anything ever seen before, and success would mean the next big revolution in the space industry. SpaceX has ambitious plans for operations involving the Starship design, including regular trips to the moon by this decade, beginning with a one-off trip to the moon and back for the first ever private citizen to experience such a thing in 2023, with Japanese billionaire Yusaku Maezawa set to become the lucky private citizen. Starship is also an important part of SpaceX's planned overall interplanetary systems architecture, which would involve regular trips to the moon, Mars, and beyond. The system's architecture also mandates that Starship will be eventually available in multiple configurations. These configurations include a satellite delivery platform, passenger transport configurations to send tourists to the International Space Station, mass transportation for cargo, a reusable lunar lander, and finally, a platform for long-duration flights to planets beyond the Earth-Moon system. SpaceX's other anticipated project, Starlink, also relies on the successful completion of the Starship designed satellite delivery platform to reach its target of 12,000 satellites for full satellite internet operations. Besides this, the lunar landing module has also been chosen by NASA for use in NASA's Artemis program. The Artemis program will see a historical flight of the first moon landing to be attempted since the failure of the Apollo 13 flight in 1970. Indeed, a lot relies on Starship's success. So, how did the test go? An initial test was scheduled for 8th of December, but was canceled at the last second due to an issue involving one of the 3 Raptor rocket engines. SpaceX quickly reorganized a new launch schedule for the next day on 9th December. SpaceX was lucky to attain such a long designated time frame sanctioned by the Federal Aviation Administration in order to ensure that plane traffic does not interfere. The entire launch process was recorded on camera as per SpaceX tradition. During the beginning of the video, the rocket's fueling process could be seen. Large clouds of steam could be seen venting off the rocket, which was in fact excess boiling oxygen falling off the sides of the rocket. Inside the rocket, oxygen fuel is kept extremely cold to the point where it is in liquid form. Upon the countdown clock hitting 0, the SN8 prototype launched all of its Raptor rocket engines, which according to SpaceX's website can output up to 6 times as much thrust as the engines on a Boeing 747 aircraft. After taking off, the prototype continued its flight over the Boca Chica airspace while SpaceX staff and Elon Musk anxiously watched on. After 2 minutes into the flight, one of the 3 engines powered down. This was followed by the next engine powering down over the next few minutes, enabling the rocket to gradually decelerate as it reaches the apex of its course, 40,000 feet high. The apex was reached 5 minutes into the flight, after which SN8 began to roll and reorient the rocket horizontally. This was the most anticipated part of the test, and according to Elon Musk, it went exactly as planned and described. The rocket's stabilizing flaps came into action during the descent, keeping it from spinning into an uncontrollable fall. Nearing the ground, the rocket engines ignited and gimbaled, a term used to mean a pivoting action from side to side. The engines also emit adjusted thrust accordingly as much as necessary to give the rocket maximum precision as it maneuvered through the air. Such precision was critical to the rocket successfully completing its final act, reorienting itself upwards again vertically and making a controlled landing in that manner. It approached the ground landing site properly with the right precision amount of precision, but it failed to land properly. Starship SN8 instead slammed into the ground and exploded into a conflagration of flames, smoke, and twisted metal. This was caused by ground control mechanisms failing to properly control SN8's fuel tank pressure, which made required deceleration impossible to achieve. SN8's test ended with the spacecraft crashing and burning. So why the positive reaction from Elon Musk and SpaceX? It is positive because SN8 was the first prototype to successfully complete most tests and fulfill its design elements. Indeed, the spacecraft still crashed and was completely destroyed, but it successfully completed the horizontal freefall maneuver and even reoriented itself up vertically without any flaws in the process at all. Since 2012, SpaceX's most important question involving Starship was all about this maneuver and whether it could be done successfully and safely. It took 8 years of endless investment and effort to achieve the impossible, something that no rocket designer had ever seriously contemplated implementing into their rocket designs. The moment SN8 successfully completed the horizontal flip and then flipped back up vertically again was the moment Elon Musk knew that his long-term plans are all within reach. Indeed, the CEO himself saw it fit to post, "Mars, here we come," on Twitter. Completely undeterred by SN8's fiery crash, SpaceX has made it clear that they will move forward with testing the Starship's next prototypes in the same relentless fashion that they are known for. SN9 is set to launch soon in early 2021, with more prototypes up to SN14, also making their flights within the next couple of years. The Starship design's future is bright, impactful, and very busy. SpaceX's long-term roadmap involving Starship includes an in-orbit refueling capability to make trips to the moon a regular occurrence. As stated earlier, Starship has already been selected by NASA for its Artemis program, which seeks to go to the moon again. To be able to go to the moon, however, SpaceX will still have to iron out their capabilities in mastering in-orbit refueling between 2 Starships and the Starship design's ability to effectively haul cargo. Elon Musk himself has estimated that SpaceX may be able to master the specifics of the refueling process in 2022. He has also stated that he is highly confident that SpaceX could achieve the first human landing on Mars by 2026. Whenever SpaceX does end up accomplishing that feat, Starship's importance and claim to fame in history will be solidified by then. SN8's launch is historic precisely for that reason. Starship will undoubtedly be the spacecraft that succeeds in taking us to Mars. We wish Elon Musk and SpaceX all the possible fortune in making this endeavor a resounding success on behalf of mankind as a whole. If you like this video, you may also enjoy our full playlist on SpaceX that is shown in the end screen.